You know, ladies and gentlemen, is always a head scratcher. How can a team win 98 games in the 1970s and not win the division? Well, that's what we're asking today because the Big Red Machine in 1974 was just as strong as it was in 72 and 73 when he won the division, 72 the World Series, and 75 and 76 where he won the World Series. But the 74 season, the big problem was he couldn't beat the Dodgers head to head. And certain of the weaker teams against the league, he dropped an occasional game here and there, and it really cost him. He ended up 4 games out of first place with the Dodgers. Dodgers went on to lose to the A's in five. But the Reds' 74 campaign, like I said, a head scratcher. Now, they finished second place in the National League West that year with a 98 and 64 record, 4 games behind the Dodgers. Now, managed by Sparky Anderson, they played their home games at Venerable Riverfront Stadium. The Reds' 98 victories were second best in all of Major League Baseball to the Dodgers' 102. The Dodgers had finished in second place from 70 to 73. 3 of those years, the Reds won the NL West, except for 71 when the Giants won an upset. In the offseason, the Dodgers added center fielder Jimmy Wynn in a trade from Houston and acquired future Cy Young Award winning reliever Mike Marshall from Montreal. The Reds added a solid starter and 12-game winner Clay Kirby in the offseason, and their starting pitching was quite consistent that year. We'll get that in a second. Now, just as they'd done the previous season, the Dodgers started hot and built a large lead on the Reds in the division, due largely to their success against the Reds heads up. The Dodgers won 9 of their first 10 games against the Reds. After losing 6 straight to the Dodgers on August 5th, the Reds trailed the Dodgers by 7.5 games, despite a solid 66 and 45 record. Now, when the wild card went in, the biggest example was what happened to the Reds in '81 in a shortened strike season, and what happened this year. So, by the time the wild card discussion was coming around, the Reds fit the bill. Now, by August 15th, ironically, the Reds had cut the lead to 1.5 games after winning the first 2 of a 3-game set at Dodger Stadium, marking 9 losses in 11 games for LA. In the third game, Wynn hit a 7-inning grand slam to break open a tight game as the Dodgers rallied to win 7-1, which helped keep the Dodgers ahead in the NL West. The Dodgers would never look back as the Reds would get no closer than 2 games the rest of the season. Now, the great Johnny Bench, who rarely got a day off, like one of our followers on the channel said, unless Bill Plummer was going to give him a chance to, he put up one of his best seasons ever. Career highs in runs with 108 on 160 games played, 33 home runs, 129 RBIs, and 315 total bases. To finish fourth in the NL MVP voting to winner Steve Garvey, runner-up Lou Brock, and Marshall. Wynn was fifth. The '74 season also marked the first with future Hall of Fame broadcaster Marty Brennaman. Brennaman replaced another nationally known broadcaster, Al Michaels, who moved to San Francisco to take the same position with the Giants. Now, if you look at the old tapes, Michaels was doing a lot of the playoff games for Cincinnati as well in that '72 postseason. Now, the big acquisition, of course, was Mario Soto, who was signed as an amateur free agent by the Reds in the '73-'74 offseason. And, of course, Ross Grimsley and Wally Williams were traded by the Reds to the Orioles for Merv Rutteman, Junior Kennedy, and Bill Wood. Now, on December 12, '73, Steve Bladerick was traded by the Reds to the Indians for Roger Freed. And, of course, prior to the '74 season, Dan Mullen was signed as an amateur free agent by the Reds. Now, ironically about this, ladies and gentlemen, the week NL West, only the Braves were above 500 on the season because they were 88 and 74. Houston was only 81 and 81. Of course, the Padres were just out of it from day one. So, rough stats. Johnny Bench, 174 hits, 280 average, 33 129. Perez, another 90 RBIs plus, 28 101, 265. Joe Morgan, 22 home runs, 67 RBIs, 293. Concepcion, 281, 1482. Dan Dreesen, 756. Pete Rose, not too much home runs that year, but hit 284 on 185 hits and 51 RBIs. Geronimo had a great season, 754. And right fielder Ken Griffey in limited playing time, 2 home runs and 19 RBIs. George Foster in his upcoming, his developing years, 7 home runs, 41 RBIs. Merv had 6 homers and 28 RBIs. Darrell Cheney, 216. Terry Crowley, 120. Billy Plummer, 210. Eddie Costco, 05. Phil Gagliano, only 2 hits and 3 hits in 2 hits and 31 at bats. Junior Kennedy, 3 hits and 19 at bats. Hal King, 3 hits and 17 at bats. Ray Knight, these early years, 2 hits and 11 at bats. Ed Armbruster, 2 hits and 7 at bats. And Roger Feed, 2 hits and 6 at bats, of course, with that big home run. Don Gullett that year won 17-11. Clay Kirby 12-9. Jack Billingham 19-11. Fred Norman 13-12. Roger Nelson in spot duty 4-4. And Tom Carroll 4-3. Now, of course, Pat Darcy in limited play was a 1-0 record in 6 games. Now, Pedro Borbon that year 14 saves, 10-7. Clay Carroll 12-5, 6 saves. Tom Hall 3-1, 1 save. Dick Bainey 1-0, 1 save. Will McEnany 2-1 with 2 saves. Raleigh Eastwick 2 saves in 8 games. Mike McQueen played 10 games. And Pat Osborne played 6. Now, of course, in the farm system, you had the Indianapolis Indians, the Trois-Rivières Aigles, one of the most popular teams in Quebec and Eastern League back in the day. The Tampa Tarpons, Seattle Laniers, and the Billings Mustangs, of course, the Rookie League. So, again, it could have easily been their division, but if you can't beat the Dodgers, and you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, 72-73, they could hold off the Dodgers. But 74, picking up Mike Marshall, Jimmy Wynn. Wynn was a very underrated player at an all-star season, but he didn't have enough to beat the A's. The Reds not beating the Dodgers for the division, they probably couldn't have beat the A's because the A's had a running team, but the Reds very rarely would steal a base because it was like, 3-run homer style of team. But Sparky was outcoached in 72, and maybe not Tommy Lasorda, but Walter Olson and Tommy Lasorda, the third base coach, probably outcoached them that year. I know I watched some games between the Dodgers and the Reds that year, and it just seemed that the Reds were floundering against LA. Like, they couldn't really understand how to deal with, Lopes and Say and Russell and Garvey, like, the infield. They could deal with the outfield, but if Lopes wouldn't get them, Say would. If Say couldn't get them, Garvey would. And Garvey, was an RBI machine that year. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our Big Red Machine podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. This is a loss, I think, divisional pennant for the Reds, because a lot of people going in had predicted the Reds to win. But unfortunately, here in the real world, it was just the Dodgers' time. And 77 and 78 proved that, because by the time they won the 76 World Series, we know the writing was on the wall that the Dodgers were going to be the most dominant NL club in the second half of that decade. Because we thought for sure that the Giants would be with the heavy power, but it didn't work out at the way it was. So again, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Thank you for what we're doing. The January 2024 is Big Red Machine month on the channel. You probably know this already. The reason why it ties into the 74 season towards the 75-76, because all the success of 75 and 76 were based on the Reds not wanting to lose in chintzy fashion like they did to the Dodgers in 74. Like I said, where you only lose consistently to one team, you don't win the division. That's not really fair. So thanks for listening. As we like to say in the North Shore, keep your stick in the ice. Have a good one. Bye.